I'm going to get into the things that I've come here to talk about in this video, which are the next 3 tools that I've been reviewing from the original list of 9 with a bonus, so 10 from the video that I will link to this one as well. Today it's Adobe Premiere Rush, VidIQ and VidIQ Boost, and Filmic Pro. Not necessarily in that order, but I have some notes that I've made for myself, so my handy dandy glasses will be part of that. So we'll start with, I believe, Adobe Premiere Rush, and these are my notes based on the relevance to small YouTube creators as promised, small channels at this point. I mean, we all want to get to be a certain size. We've got a goal for ourselves, but at this point, we're small creators trying to find our break, get our break in YouTube. And so these tools make a huge difference, but they have widely varying, take the glasses back off, widely varying uses. And these 3 in particular each do a separate kind of thing. I wanted to do them together. That's why I put them in that order in the original video, because they really sort of demonstrate how widely YouTube tools can help, and that not everything has all the stuff in it. Some things are drilled down to other tools other than editing, other tools than editing and the stuff that people associate with making YouTube videos. And these are super helpful, but the way they help is different. And so in my experience of them, not always a complete experience, because I haven't paid for any of these yet. And one of the ones we're going to talk about today doesn't have a free feature, and it's a one-time purchase fee. I'm not going to mention the fee of the time, because depending on when you're watching this video, that may have changed. I will, though, talk specifically about something that is interesting to Adobe users, especially since it was a big controversial thing when it first started happening. I kind of understand why Adobe does it when we get into it, but I don't think that it's a good business idea, just to be straightforward with that. But yeah, difference of opinions is fine. So first, we're going to talk about Adobe Premiere Rush, and I'll get into the controversy around. There are lots of controversies around everything, but into one of the controversial things that Adobe decided to do after I've talked about this product, which is really helpful. It has a really user-friendly editing function, and it's really a lot less complicated than Adobe Premiere Pro, which is a steeper learning curve. This seems to me to have, and tell me if you think something different, but to have an easier onboarding to using this particular product. And it's more drag and drop oriented, and that's something that I'm probably always going to use. I don't know that I'll ever be interested enough in the production of the videos other than just making them nice and making them good for my friends in the subscription community. So that's something that's important, but it's not like, again, I said in another video, I'm making short films. I'm not. If I were, which is really kind of interesting to think about, I would be more interested in the professional version of the product. But this is pretty professional as well. It has a very polished result. That was something I noticed immediately. It's a simplified version, again, of Adobe Premiere Pro. I'll just say it again, not a steep learning curve. And that's important to a lot of people because we have to use our time wisely. Again, we can make more money, but we can't make more time. It's got a cross-platform sync that a lot of users liked, and I thought it was cool as well. You can work on your phone or on your computer and pick the projects up that you've been working on in different modalities on a variety of platforms. It's especially, I think, in this sense, helpful for creators who shoot content like I do on the phone and then edit on the desktop. That's a big takeaway for me with Adobe Premiere Rush, is if you're needing to be on the go with your phone and you don't feel like investing in, or you're not interested in having at all, a vlogging camera, then this is an opportunity to go cross-platform and edit stuff you've had on your phone and started on your phone on the desktop. So that's pretty cool. And then you can employ different editing capabilities in that. So again, I think that that's probably the most helpful thing. But some other helpful things are the built-in templates and tools. I'm a sucker for a library of templates. So there are lots of templates, transitions, some basic effects you can play with, and they just really make the video look more professional without this post-production complexity that emerges sometimes in Adobe Premiere Pro, which is something that you need to learn. You don't need to learn, it's something you have to learn to use it. It's great for tight schedules. I 100% think that if you need to produce content quickly, the workflow is super speedy on this. And again, it's more intuitive. And I think that's helpful as well. The things that I don't see as so helpful from the perspective of a small channel and the perspective of just the way that I create is, you know, if you want to get to a certain point of production and grow your channel to be rather big, Premiere Rush might not go with you through the entirety of your growth process. It doesn't have all the features of Premiere Pro. Of course it doesn't, right? Great for beginning and maybe getting to an intermediate editing level, but it doesn't have that depth of customization you want to, or you may want to, invest in if you're really big on the production side. Again, I'm probably not ever going to get there, so it doesn't really pertain to me. I mean, I hope I get there with the community and with the members of the community that subscribe, but I really honestly don't even know at this point if I would ever feel comfortable in getting to a membership model where, or, you know, like a Patreon model where people are paying a fee to see my content. I don't know that I'm ever going to feel comfortable with that on a variety of levels. I think it's great when people do it. I support people who do that and think it's a wonderful thing. And it's a way to turn it into a full-time job, which I wouldn't mind happening either in the future. But I don't know that I'll ever feel comfortable just with my personality type and the way that I feel about the community. It may not ever work for me to do that. And so I might not want to make the investment in a product, and the time investment is the big thing to learn, and the steep learning curve that may be necessary for Adobe Premiere Pro is probably not something that's going to interest me. And so if I were to use Premiere Rush, Adobe Premiere Rush, that would probably be good enough for me and all I'm ever going to do, but I wanted to make it relevant to other people as well. So I'm going to get my husband to pick up the phone because this is a call for him. Excellent. So when he was keeping me company, we do that a lot. So back to Adobe Premiere Rush. Another thing I think it depends on your advice? No, it depends on your device with Adobe Premiere Rush, because if you have a large video file, you may have slower production times. It may lag. There may be some performance issues involved with that. So if you have what people like to call a low-end product, but I don't like that at all. Whatever product you have that you're using to film is fantastic. Whatever kind of camera or phone you're using, you're getting out there and you're creating, and it's wonderful. But just be aware that if you're dealing with larger files, especially if you're using something that's not a super expensive phone, my phone isn't super expensive. I use a Google Pixel 6. And I think, I don't know, what is Google Pixel up to? 9, 10 now? I'm not sure. But I'm satisfied with the gear that I'm using. And if something isn't going to perform well on the gear, then I'm probably not going to use it. Now, to the little controversial bit about Adobe. At this point, Adobe, and I want to be sure that I'm being accurate, and I took notes on this as well. Y'all, I'm a note taker. That's one of the things I do. And I use, specifically, I use notes from the Cornell note-taking method. So maybe I'll get on and make a video about using the Cornell note-taking method. I teach that to my students. So, but with this issue, okay, I think I'm clear on my notes now. Adobe started at some point, and I didn't really feel like the time that this started was germane to the topic in this video. They started to charge cancellation fees, and that's all around the idea that people purchase a year at a time, and then if you cancel it, they, are not going to refund your money necessarily. They're going to, I think they do like 50% of what's left on your plan, which may seem fair, right? And I get that. I get how that could be fair. From Adobe's point of view, I get that. But from my point of view, I want to be able to cancel a product anytime that I'm not interested in it anymore, which means that I might want to go on a month by month basis and cancel so that I'm not keeping anything that belongs to somebody else's product. But I hope this makes sense. But at the same time, I'm not paying for something I'm not getting. And there are, if you do, I'm not going to share it because I don't know how ethical I feel it is, but I will let you know because I feel it's ethical to let you know this, that there are ways to work around that cancellation fee that people talk about online. And I guess those ways work. I didn't use that way. I paid 50% of it to get canceled with Adobe and started to use shareware instead for the things I used Adobe for. And again, for me, Adobe is not a must have. To be honest, for my digital creator child, it's not a must have either. He's using all the shareware and freeware that is available at no cost to him that compares with the Adobe product. So that's up to you whether or not you're going to decide you think that's a good practice. I don't think it's a good business practice. I think it's a better business practice to normalize month to month subscriptions and be gracious to people when they cancel. Again, Adobe representatives have always been, and not again, but Adobe representatives have always been very helpful to me and do everything that they can within the auspices of working for Adobe and following the rules. So they have their rules, the rules you need to know up front. So go in and look at that before you decide to make any subscriptions to anything. But in this particular case, Adobe products. So that's that about Premiere Film, Adobe Premiere Rush. I want to get into Filmic Pro here to keep things moving along at a good pace. So find it very helpful in this way. Filmic Pro is a mobile app, and it's not something that I'll probably use in the future, just like Adobe Premiere Rush is not. But it's an excellent mobile app for creators, and that's what sets it apart, in my opinion, from some other things. Who are going to make footage on their phones. You can adjust settings, camera settings. But there's a learning curve with that too, but you can manually adjust exposure, focus, white balance, and frame rates, which can lead to more professional looking content. And if you're familiar with the way cameras work, this can be really helpful and work better and be more professional looking than the default camera app, which I'm using right now. Now, I mean, I have no problem with the default camera app, but I know some people may want a higher level of visual production. So there's a cinematic control element to it. If you want your video, again, we've talked about this before with other things, to have a high-end cinematic feel, Filmic Pro offers controls that usually are on higher-end cameras that you might use to vlog or to just do videos in general. This can help your videos obviously stand out more if you are going to use a smartphone like I do. So it is helpful in that way. So there are lots of recording options. It's fairly flexible, whether you need high frame rate for slow motion or specific resolution. Filmic Pro allows this with relative ease. The things that for me were limiting is it's mobile only. So if you do a lot of work in Filmic Pro, you're going to end up probably moving on to something else. If you're, I'm sorry, I don't even know how I said that. I'll go back. Menopause moment. If you feel like you're going to move into another modality for delivering your videos and you're not going to use the phone on a long-term basis, Filmic Pro might not continue to work for you because, or it won't, because it's a Filmic Pro is about your mobile device. And so that's the takeaway I would this big thing here. The one big thing on this one is that you need to realize that it's going to just be about the mobile technology. it only helps you in terms of shooting the video. So it's not about post-production and editing. Got to keep that in mind as well. You'll need other tools for the editing if you want to do more work with that. Offers a lot of professional control. I will give Filmic Pro that, but it can be a little bit overwhelming as a beginner if you're not already familiar with high-end cameras to go and use those controls as they are presented there. So just a word to the wise. Again, a big learning curve. And the thing that I think is probably super important at this level is if you're making any investment in any of these things, you need to know whether or not that investment is going to serve you for the long run. So that's something to keep in mind with Filmic Pro. VidIQ and VidIQ Boost, I kind of put them on the same platform because they're the same thing, right? Just at different levels. One of them is free and one of them is not. One of the things, I mean, low-key, I'm probably going to end up like my friend with her YouTube channel, Lena Donegan Reads. I'm probably going, is it Lena? No, it's Jessica. I'm sorry. Lena's one of the community members. Hey, Lena. But Jessica Donegan Reads, I'm probably going to end up, as she suggested, using VidIQ a little bit more. I'll talk about a limitation in a second, but first, I want to talk about the comparative aspects as I have before with the small channel creator and the use of this video. So the thing I think that's the most helpful about this, and it's a totally different kind of tool, and more on that in a second as I drill down into comparisons, because they're not comparable really, they're different tools. SEO optimization, search engine SEO optimization, that's redundant. Search engine optimization, which is often called SEO. To be honest, I think VidIQ is up there as one of the best tools for growing your YouTube channel, but you're going to have to get a little data before you do that. It helps you optimize your video titles, your descriptions, your tags, your thumbnails, based on keyword research is primarily what it is from what I can see, which can really increase your visibility on YouTube. I haven't used it really in application yet. I've used it, but I haven't applied it to any of these videos, so we'll see if there's a change. That's one of the reasons I didn't want to use it, to be honest, initially in my YouTube channel, is because I didn't want Giddy Things to start with it. I wanted to go for a while and then see what kind of value VidIQ might lend to growing my channel after I'd been on for a while. Because, I mean, if the community grows, I'm so excited about that, but I'm going to continue to make these videos regardless. So it helps you to increase your search rankings and to know how to make your content easier to find for viewers. There's also competitor research, and this is pretty amazing. Now, I don't like to consider other small channels competitors. I don't really consider any large channels competitors. We're all in this together, but I get the point. I have been in the business world, I've been in the education world for a long time, and I understand the power of competition. So VidIQ actually lets you track your competitors' performance so that you can see what's working for other channels if you have a niche, and just adapt accordingly. If I were thinking about my niche, because I talk about all different kinds of topics, I would primarily think that my niche is what people call grandma or grandpa videos, where some people are coming on to listen to your content, but they also enjoy just the companionship that you offer as a friend from far away. And I'm proud to be in that kind of niche, but I talk about a variety of things. That will probably get more organized as my channel goes on, but I always want to be able to be spontaneous and authentic to what's going on in my family's life and in my life at a time. So, at a specific time. So, sorry, I don't know what that was. That was just a face I made. I'm a face maker. I don't know if y'all have noticed that. So, that's a big deal, SEO. Then competitor research, again, another big deal. Analytics, VidIQ gives you data, and data drives, right? Data drives things. I'm trying to get with my glasses on, out of the glare so it doesn't bother y'all, on how well your videos are performing. So you can track metrics, which is amazing. This is something I did as an instructional designer. It's something I do as an educator overall, as a teacher. I track metrics with my classes' performances so I can help my students more effectively. So, like these metrics for YouTube videos are going to be like views, engagement, and watch time. And this is huge for adjusting your strategy if you need to, if growing your channel is something you want to do. And I'm not going to lie, I want to do it. I would love to do this and make my salary by doing this. So this is the sort of analytic tool that you sometimes need to invest in, even if you're going to make a difference in your channel. So it allows you to bulk edit, which is you can edit video metadata in bulk, and that's especially helpful when you're growing your channel as well. Now, VidIQ Boost, which is the one that's a paid service, is their premium version, and it offers more in-depth features, which may be helpful eventually, but I think VidIQ is helpful enough once you get to a certain point, and more on that in your YouTube career, I guess. So this can help you make this particular set of features in the Premiere version can help you make more informed decisions about content strategy, posting schedule. That's a big deal that I noticed was a difference between the free and the Boost version, even though the free version gives you help with that too. It gives you access to more advanced alerts, drills down. I use that expression a lot, but when I say that, I mean it drills down a little bit more deeply into analytics. Now, I can see why, however, from my own perspective, again, that VidIQ could be overwhelming for small channel creators. There's the sheer amount of data and features, especially in VidIQ Boost, but also in VidIQ, can be overwhelming if you're just starting out. And also, to the point of my friend Jessica, can be not as helpful because you don't have enough data yet, right? You haven't fully grasped, I don't know if we ever fully grasp how the algorithm works in YouTube. So you may not get the most out of this tool when you're just starting out. I think for a larger channel with maybe, 1,000 views, 1,000 members or more, I'm just kind of pulling that out of the air because of where monetization starts. I don't think for a smaller channel, especially for VidIQ Boost, which is a subscription, I don't think that you could justify that unless you just have the discretionary funds and you'd like to use it. But here's what I was talking about earlier. I want to use it as my channel grows. When I get to a certain point, for me, that point is 100 subscribers. I'm going to start using VidIQ more to optimize the searches that viewers do and find my content, but also to help me see how the channel is performing, because I really do like statistics and I like analytics, but I want to have, again, to Jessica's point, I want to have enough data to make it worth my while to run those analytics, I think. And that's the big takeaway for me, is this is a wonderful tool. The free version, I think, is all I'll probably ever need, but I need to be using the tool in such a way that I'm not overwhelming myself without getting a lot of value over it, which means waiting a little bit until I have a larger viewing audience and more friends in the community that I can optimize these things for. So that having been said, there's really, again, no comparison with these resources, with these tools, because they are serving completely different purposes. Filmic Pro, for example, is all about improving the quality of video that you're doing while you're shooting, but Premiere Rush is focused on the editing process and post-production. Premiere Rush and VidIQ, Premiere Rush, again, editing, post-production. VidIQ is growth and optimization of content. So, I mean, those are two totally different things. Filmic Pro and VidIQ. Filmic Pro is a mobile video recording tool, which is completely different from VidIQ's being a search optimization tool. So, Adobe Premiere Rush is fantastic for quick, simple editing, and it's beginner-friendly. If you have been editing already, it's probably more beginner friendly. And then Filmic Pro is excellent if you want to get high quality footage from your phone. Just be aware with both Adobe Rush and Filmic Pro that large files may stall with phones that don't have all of the bells and whistles attached to them, especially with Adobe Premiere Rush. But to a certain extent, that could happen with VidIQ too, I am certain. even though it is made for mobile delivery. Um, Filmic Pro, again, fantastic to get professional quality footage straight from the phone with those advanced camera settings. I am really excited for people who want to do that. And maybe there will be a time when I'm like, you know what, I need a new challenge and I'm going to go ahead and do that. But for right now, getting my feet wet with a small channel on YouTube, I am trying to focus on the basics because, and this is something I really wanted to say as I close the video, you know, if we struggle with the basics, there's no use for any additional tools. And I don't want to continue to struggle with the basics. I want to take things a step at a time. And one of the ways I do that is by watching people, other people who are more experienced with YouTube than I am, and having those people help me figure out what's important for my channel every step of the way. That's one of the wonderful things about YouTube. You can go on YouTube and literally learn how to do almost anything, right? So I'm going to link a couple of people I like to watch in case you like to watch them, people who've kind of mentored me. My first YouTube mentor, and he doesn't even know me, but I mean, I've like his channel, I put comments up, and he's very, very kind, is Kevin Colby. And I'm going to link Kevin Colby's channel also in the description. And then Dan the Creator is another person who gives really good information, and there's not a lot of lead up to the information. He shares it quickly, he uses your time wisely, and he is experienced. And he has multiple channels. I think Kevin Colby is focusing only on his one channel, but I may be wrong on that. But both of these people are fantastic in the mentorship that they provide for YouTube channels, and particularly for people who are growing their YouTube channels. I want to thank them. I want to I want to thank Jessica at Jessica Donegan Reads. I will link these wonderful folks in my description. I hope that you always know how loved you are. And I also hope that you and we all will go in peace and love to serve others.